Hi everyone, I'm Matt from Look Into Bitcoin, and today we're going to be looking at what the worst possible outcome is for Bitcoin according to the on-chain metrics. To do this, we'll be using a number of resources all freely available on lookintobitcoin.com, your number one source for Bitcoin information. If you haven't already, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to ensure you're receiving all of our content as soon as it's released. So right now we're just on the Bitcoin live price here on lookintobitcoin.com, and as we can see, it's been a little bit more promising the last few weeks. Still nothing amazing, but definitely better than what we've been seeing recently. And if we just scroll down, a lot of people are wondering to themselves, if Bitcoin was to continue its downwards move, what actually is the worst possible outcome for Bitcoin? And a lot of people use some technical analysis and other market cycle charts and some dubious speculation to try and come to their own conclusion of where they think Bitcoin may bottom. We can already see the markets are very fearful and Bitcoin has been quite underperforming traditional markets. We can also see we do have price prediction charts such as this one here, the Bitcoin forecasting tools, which are somewhat predicting that Bitcoin has, or if not, very close to a Bitcoin price bottom. But for a more thorough and potentially more accurate on-chain analysis of where Bitcoin may bottom, we can actually use some on-chain metrics we have here on lookintobitcoin.com, such as the net unrealized profit and loss. And as you can see, we currently sit in the capitulation area of the net unrealized profit and loss. And what this tool is doing is looking at the market cap of Bitcoin, which is the current price multiplied by the circulating supply. It is then subtracting the realized cap. Now, the realized cap is using the realized price. So this is the cost basis for all Bitcoin on the network. So the average accumulation price, every Bitcoin that was ever transferred on the network, we can aggregate all of that and come to the realized price to see the average transactional value of Bitcoin. We then just multiply that by the current circulating supply and we get the realized cap, and then we divide that by the market cap. So a little bit maths intensive, but ultimately that gives us the net unrealized profit and loss. And really this is just showing us how many people are in a unrealized loss on their position from where they accumulated their Bitcoin. So we can see once this is a negative value, it means that we're in a capitulation phase, as a majority of people are currently at a loss on their positions. But what we can actually do with this is we can see right now we sit at a value of about minus 15.53%. We can actually compare how Bitcoin's price would look if we were to fall in line with previous net unrealized profit and loss values we saw in the previous bear markets. But just as a quick interesting thing to know before we deep further into the maths, is if you actually connect the bottoms of the previous 3 bear cycles, it does maybe look like we have already bottomed, but we'll forget that and assume that we haven't, and we'll see what the worst possible outcome is if we were to follow these previous 2 bear cycles. So how can we actually work this out? Well, what we can do is do the maths of the net unrealized profit and loss calculation, but in reverse. So rather than subtracting the realized cap and dividing by the market cap, we can actually take the net unrealized profit and loss value, multiply it by the market cap, add the realized cap, and then divide by the circulating supply to get the actual underlying price of Bitcoin if we were to reach these previous bear market lows. So don't worry, I won't make you do any maths for this. I've already done it before filming this, so I can just tell you exactly where we would be. So this previous cycle low we had here, we just saw a few weeks ago, bottomed out at a value of minus 31.35%. So if we then take that, which would be 0.3135, multiply that by the current market cap of Bitcoin, and we can get this here on the Bitcoin live price tool we have on lookintobitcoin.com, this market cap value here of 329 billion. And then we need the realized cap to add to that value. So again, you can just see the realized cap value here. Or if you wanted to be a little bit more precise, you could go into the realized price and multiply that by the current circulating supply. But once we have that, we can divide by the current circulating supply, which is just above 19 million Bitcoin, as we can see here again on the Look Into Bitcoin site. And then once we have that, it'll tell us if we were to once again reach this low in the NUPL value, what the Bitcoin price would be. And that price sits at around $14,328. And that is about a minus 17% drop on current price. So if we were to once again drop on the NUPL value to the previous low we've had in this bear cycle, we'd see a Bitcoin valuation of around $14,300. What about in the previous bear markets? So the 2018 bear market, we had an NUPL bottoming value of minus 42.53%. So again, if we go through the same procedure we did previously, multiplying it by the market cap, adding the realized cap, dividing by the current circulating supply, we get a price of $12,400. And this would actually result in a drop of around minus 28% from where price currently sits, which is just above $17,000. So a fairly substantial and stark decline if we were to reach that level. But what about in the previous bear cycle we saw in 2015? Again, going through the same cycle as this NUPL dropped out at about minus 56.64%, we actually get a Bitcoin value if we reach that again of $9,966, which is about minus 42% from current price. So we can see these are probably the worst potential outcomes we have for Bitcoin. I'm not going to go over the maths involved in this first bear cycle we had for Bitcoin because we're assuming the realized cap in these calculations is going to remain constant with what it currently is. We can't really do this maths because this would then assume that Bitcoin's price would be negative. And as soon as we start getting paid for holding Bitcoin, I'm going to accumulate as much as humanly possible. So we'll assume if we reach these levels, it would just be a Bitcoin price of 0. But overall, we can see if we haven't already bottomed in price, which a lot of metrics is showing that we may have already done, or if not, we are probably very close to forming a Bitcoin price bottom, that these may be some areas to watch out for if the previous bear cycles on on-chain metrics are anything to go by. So just to summarize, even with Bitcoin at historically oversold levels, we always have to be open to the possibility of Bitcoin decreasing even further in price. Anything is possible with trading and investing, and Bitcoin being as speculative and volatile as it is, especially given the global uncertainty around traditional markets, we always have to be open to the possibility that price could drop even further. What we can do though is use the net unrealized profit and loss metric we have on lookintobitcoin.com and use comparisons to previous bear market cycles to see that Bitcoin could potentially bottom out at around $14,500 to around $10,000 if those lows were once again reached. Now, this is assuming that the realized price would remain the level it is today, and the circulating supply is always changing too. So these numbers are going to be a little bit off if Bitcoin was to decrease even further, but we would be within a margin of just a few percent. So this is probably not a bad area to watch if Bitcoin is to drop further. We can also say that strategic investors usually find it very difficult to go all in at the exact Bitcoin price bottom. In fact, the amount of people that can actually say they have gone all in at the exact price bottom, I could probably count on one hand. So really the best advice is to, rather than going all in waiting for the exact price at which you think Bitcoin's price is going to bottom, to slowly start accumulating at levels that you deem to be valuable and at a discount for Bitcoin. You need to try and maximize your risk to reward without being left on the sidelines waiting for lower prices or buying in too late after the bottom has already been confirmed. If you like this video, then please visit lookintobitcoin.com, where you can also consider becoming a site subscriber to gain access to live chats, in-depth newsletters, indicator alerts, private trading view scripts, and more, all for a fraction of the standard industry price. Let me know what your thoughts are on where Bitcoin could potentially bottom and what you think the worst potential outcome is. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter. We love replying and retweeting all of your tweets and engaging with all of our followers. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.